So the Montreal Canadiens are playing off against the Seattle Kraken later tonight. That's great. But in this video, I wanted to talk about a guy whose presence was not felt by any of the many Canadiens fans in Rogers Arena yesterday. And a guy whose status for today's game against Seattle has not yet been confirmed. Whether or not he'll play or he won't play, we're still kind of waiting for updates on that. But we will make this video either way. Regardless, his presence on the team isn't necessary for us to have this conversation, because today we're talking about big Finnish winger on the Montreal Canadiens, Patrik Laine, and whether or not his career has taken a turn for the better with the Montreal Canadiens. You see, the reason we are diving into this is because of an article published on TVA Sports yesterday by Jean-Nicolas Blanchet. And it talks about the quote-unquote Patrik Laine experiment and says that it's gone on long enough. This show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there, check out that first link in the description to save some money on your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel in the process. The article starts out by having a very direct, blunt quote. "We tried. We believed in it. It gave some great moments. But enough is enough. We have to stop the Patrik Laine experiment." In the midst of a playoff race, Laine missed the last game in Calgary with flu-like symptoms and will not be in uniform tonight in Vancouver. I was very excited in August when the Canadiens announced the arrival of Laine. I refused to believe it, but it was obvious that Montreal had gone to pick the forbidden fruit. Kent Hughes presented Patrik Laine as a reward for his players. It is rather a poisoned chalice for the organization in the end. Now, pause. Oh my gosh. Imagine calling a guy forbidden fruit, a poisoned chalice for your organization. I'm not going to say that Patrik Laine is like the best player in the world and that he was a fantastic acquisition, but forbidden fruit? Going all Adam and Eve on us here? Oh boy. You could definitely tell where this writer's opinion is coming from. The article then talks about his turnovers. In just 34 games, Laine has been responsible for 24 turnovers. If he had played as much as Nick Suzuki, he would be the worst forward in the league in that regard. Per minutes played at 5v5, Emil Heineman scores twice as often as Laine. Dvorak scores more too. And Armia. Over a full season at his current pace, he would have a plus-minus of -26. When he's on the ice at 5v5, the other team is averaging 3.34 goals per game. Only 2 forwards in the NHL are scoring worse than him this season. In other words, he's pretty much the worst forward in the league at 5v5. And that is crazy. I'm not going to go out there and say that these stats are wrong or that this narrative is incorrect, but look, we knew that Patrik Laine was a power play merchant. We knew that his bread and butter, his statistical advantage would be on the man advantage. And it was just so unfortunate because when he stops scoring on the man advantage, that's when he really becomes ineffective. And that's when we really start to put the blame game on him and say, hey, this guy's not really all too great when he's not scoring goals. That's like the only thing he is good at doing. But for a Montreal Canadiens team that has already found ways to win, scoring 5v5 goals, scoring goals with Slafkovsky and Suzuki and Caulfield, doing all these things without Laine even in the lineup, you could start to understand why this idea has been tossed out there on this article. And you can also say, like, hey, what's the purpose of it? Why is there the need to go out there and make this long commentary on Laine and the experiment and now he's a forbidden fruit? Well, it's because he's super expensive. $8.7 million does not grow on trees, folks, and he's making that amount of money this year and next. It begs the question as to whether or not that Laine buyout conversation that we had earlier in the season really is possible. If this guy is not able to take that next step and fully emerge as an even, just normal, not plus, not minus, regular old 5v5 guy. If he continues playing like this, and he continues being the worst, one of the worst, top 3, top 5 worst 5v5 forwards in the National Hockey League, then who knows how sustainable that is? Because when he's not scoring goals, there is very little value in the positive direction that he brings for the Montreal Canadiens, and I don't think that's in dispute. This article, though, is overly negative, but I do want to go out there and give some extra thoughts into it. His style has always seemed nonchalant, I admit, but he was more involved in the game before. He wasn't just a power play guy. In 2019, Laine recorded 100 hits. In 2017, he finished the season with a +8 ±. The year before, he was one of the Jets' best forwards at getting the puck out of the opponent. But now he stays away and doesn't seem more interested than necessary in going a little further into traffic. There's his attitude, too. His little run-in with Slafkovsky last Wednesday may have been trivial. Slafkovsky knocked him down and Laine was so angry that he went to break his hockey stick on the bench before returning to the ice sulking when Slafkovsky went to apologize. Imagine the rotten example that sets for the rest of the team. It's a cliche, but winning teams all have one thing in common. They have developed a culture. All this is detrimental to the culture that St. Louis is building, and it must have something to do with Laine's playing time dropping to 10 minutes per game. The article has a little bit extra stuff that talks about Laine, and I'll leave a link in the description if you want to dive into it yourself. But ultimately, I wanted to propose this article's thought process in a video just to get the conversation going. Because we recognize that there have been so many emotional highs with Laine this season. The power play goals, getting Hudson all these assists. When he's on his game, he is on. And when he becomes OV 2.0, standing in his spot, ripping bombs and clapping whatever it is, then he is absolutely worthwhile to have in a National Hockey League lineup. There are so few players in the league who can just rip bombs like he can. But again, when he doesn't do that, when he slows down, when he's not scoring, that's when the value of him all of a sudden becomes negative. The rest of his game needs so much work, and I just don't know if Marty St. Louis is in a position where he can properly manage and coach a hockey team whilst catering extra time to an $8.7 million guy who, by all accounts, should be able to do $8.7 million things. Who knew? And so with that in mind, I wanted to ask the question here. Was it a mistake to go after Patrik Laine for the Montreal Canadiens? We all remember, Canadiens fans, they wanted it. We were seeing all the rumors. We were reading the tea leaves. It was a really big deal. Hey, Patrik Laine could come to the Montreal Canadiens. It's fantastic. And then he did. And we were excited, and then he got injured in the preseason, and then we had to wait. And then he came back, and then he was really good, and then he was really bad, and now we're talking about him here in this video. So it's been a very unfortunate path for Laine. We don't know if he's in tonight, and I only say that because at the time of recording this audio, there still hasn't been any update. If he is in, then okay, I hope he scores a hat trick, and I hope he proves me wrong. But for now, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Patrik Laine and his career in Montreal, whether or not you think it was a dud or a success. Was it worth the shot, or was it just forbidden fruit? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.